Okay, good morning, everyone. If you can take your seats, we can start this morning's session. This morning, we shall proceed with the country statements for Agenda Item 3. Again, I would like to urge all speakers to adhere to the time limit of 3 minutes to ensure we can hear from all those participating. I would like also to remind delegations that in case of a longer statement, you may provide the Secretariat with the full statement for sharing through the committee website. Delegations may request to speak by submitting their names and written statements to the conference room officer. The Secretariat would also like to encourage each delegation to focus its intervention on each of the agenda items under discussion. In view of the mandates and operational requirements of the committee, priority will be given first to the members, associate members, and observer countries of the Commission. If time allows, the floor will then be given to the intergovernmental and international organizations and other entities. Is this clear to all delegations? If so, I now open the floor for country statements. The first speaker is Fiji. You have the floor.
Thank you. Excuse me. Madam Chair. For nations like Fiji, the sustainable management of critical minerals is not about extraction, but about responsibility. It is about ensuring the technologies that power our transition from solar panels to batteries are part of an ethical, circular, and sustainable life cycle from beginning to end. As a large ocean state, we are a market for these end products. We therefore feel a deep responsibility to advocate for supply chains that respect human rights and the environment, and to plan for the sustainable management of these materials at every stage, especially at the end of life. In the national context, Madam Chair, for Fiji and other island states, the energy transition presents a practical, looming challenge: how to manage the coming influx of end-of-life solar panels, batteries, and turbine blades. Ignoring this is not an option. This is why Fiji's interest is not in mining, but in circularity. We find powerful alignment between the UN RMS principles, particularly Principle 8 on circularity and Principle 4 on social engagement, and the UN panel's emphasis on justice. These frameworks provide the essential guide for building a circular economy for critical minerals from the outset. Opportunities in the circular economy. Fiji sees critical opportunity to address waste and create value simultaneously. We strongly endorse the report's focus and call for urgent work on recycling technologies and business models for recovering minerals from used renewable energy equipment. Developing this capacity is an economic and environmental necessity to avoid future waste crisis and to build new sustainable industries in our region. The vital role of regional cooperation. Madam Chair, no single nation can build a circular economy alone. Regional collaboration is the only path forward. We commend ASEAN's leadership and look to its cooperative model for inspiration. We must work together to build regional capacity, establish knowledge-sharing platforms, and technical assistance programs focused especially on dismantling, recycling, and safe disposal techniques for renewable energy components. Create green markets, harmonize standards and certification to create a regional market for responsibly recycled materials, ensuring they are valued and integrated back into new manufacturing streams. Support for the proposed expert working group. Madam Chair, the complexity of building circular supply chains demands dedicated focus. Fiji therefore fully and unequivocally supports the establishment of the expert working group on critical energy transition minerals. We see this group as the essential body to help translate the principles of circularity into practical policy, facilitate technology transfer for recycling, and ensure that the sustainable end-of-life management of these materials is a core part of the regional energy conversion. Chair, thank you.
I thank the delegate from Fiji. I now invite the delegate from the Russian Federation. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Уважаемые участники сессии, прежде всего хотели бы подчеркнуть, что стабильные цепочки поставок критически важных полезных ископаемых и материалов, а также полупроводников и связанных с ними технологий имеют определяющее значение для энергетического перехода. Наша страна рассматривает энергетический переход как совокупность множества справедливых, упорядоченных и равноправных энергетических переходов, в основе которых лежат энергетический суверенитет, технологическая нейтральность и учет социально-экономической и природно-географической специфики разных государств. Спрос на энергоресурсы и критические минералы не должен использоваться как инструмент политического и экономического давления. Результат попыток политизировать международное энергетическое сотрудничество сегодня хорошо виден. Рост волатильности цен на энергоресурсы, нарушение глобальных цепочек поставок, разрушение существующей архитектуры энергобезопасности. По нашему убеждению, залогом устойчивого энергетического развития является поддержание конструктивного и равноправного международного сотрудничества в энергетической сфере и обеспечение эффективного управления ресурсами. В этом контексте центральную роль отводим рамочной классификации ООН и системе управления ресурсами ООН. Эти инструменты предлагают всеобъемлющий интегрированный глобальный набор мер для устойчивого управления всеми видами полезных ископаемых, возобновляемыми источниками энергии, ресурсами для атомной энергогенерации, антропогенными ресурсами, проектами закачки в геологические хранилища и подземными водами. Российская Федерация обладает значительным опытом в применении РК-ООН и СУР-ООН и готова делиться своими знаниями. С 2021 года на территории нашей страны зарегистрирован Международный центр передового опыта в области устойчивого управления природными ресурсами, ставший первым подобным центром в мире. В задачи центра входит содействие глобальному распространению РК-ООН и СУР-ООН и развитие сотрудничества в области гармонизации национальных систем классификации полезных ископаемых на основе РК-ООН. Центр уже показал эффективную работу на площадке Европейской экономической комиссии ООН. В этом году началась реализация совместного проекта Центра и ESCAP, нацеленного на повышение информированности и расширение возможностей для внедрения РК-ООН и СУР-ООН в Азиатско-Тихоокеанском регионе. Уважаемые дамы и господа, на данном этапе не готовы поддержать инициативу учреждения под эгидой Комитета по энергетике рабочей группы экспертов по критически важным минеральным ресурсам для энергетического перехода. Такого рода предложения требуют межправительственного переговорного процесса с безусловным соблюдением правил процедуры эската и принципов работы системы ООН. Для четкого определения круга ведения нового органа и согласования его конкретных целей, функций и задач. На данном этапе добавленная стоимость такого механизма, особенно в условиях нехватки бюджетных ресурсов, не очевидна. Благодарю за внимание.
I thank the delegate from the Russian Federation. I now invite the delegate from the Federated States of Micronesia. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Federated States of Micronesia thanks the Secretariat for the comprehensive report on maintaining reliable, responsible, and sustainable supply chains of minerals, materials, and technologies critical for energy transitions. We acknowledge the vital role that critical energy transition minerals play in enabling the global shift towards clean and low-carbon energy systems. As a Pacific Island nation, FSM recognizes that while we may not be a major producer of these minerals, we are deeply affected by the environmental and social impacts associated with their extraction and processing, often occurring beyond our borders. The Pacific region is particularly vulnerable to the consequences of unsustainable resource management, including ecological degradation and social disruption. which can exacerbate existing challenges related to climate change and sustainable development. FSM supports the application of the United Nations Resource Management System principles and requirements as a voluntary global standard that promotes integrated, transparent, and sustainable resource governance. We emphasize the importance of adopting a life cycle approach that includes environmental protection, social engagement, and circularity, which aligns with the Pacific's values of stewardship and community well-being. Furthermore, we welcome the establishment of the Expert Working Group on Critical Energy Transition Minerals under the Committee on Energy. We believe such a platform can facilitate regional cooperation, knowledge sharing, and capacity building, which are essential for Pacific Island countries to effectively engage in global supply chains and advocate for responsible practices. FSM encourages the committee and member states to ensure that the unique perspectives and needs of small island developing states are incorporated into regional frameworks and initiatives. This includes support for capacity development, data transparency, and inclusive stakeholder engagement to safeguard our environment and communities while contributing to a just and equitable energy transition. In closing, FSM reaffirms its commitment to sustainable development and looks forward to collaborating with ESCAP, member states, and partners to promote responsible resource management that benefits all countries in the Asia-Pacific region. Thank you.
I thank the delegate from the FSM. Are there any more country statements? Okay. I recognize the delegate from the Philippines. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Philippines recognizes that the rapid scale-up of green energy technologies, such as renewable energy, electric vehicles, and energy storages, will significantly increase the demand for critical minerals such as nickel, copper, cobalt, and rare earth elements, many of which are abundant in our country. This presents both an opportunity and a responsibility. Our national policy is clear that the development of mineral resources must be sustainable, inclusive, and anchored in environmental protection and social equity. We are strengthening the implementation of our responsible mining framework, expanding value-adding and processing technologies, and ensuring that benefits are shared with local communities. We also highlight the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or the DENR Administrative Order 2025-10, which integrates the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals into the Social Development and Management Program of mining contractors and permit holders. This ensures that the mineral resource development directly supports the well-being of host and neighboring communities, contributing to the achievement of the SDGs at the local level. We take note of the proposed United Nations Resource Management System, or the UNRMS, as a useful framework for aligning mineral development with the SDG. Its principle of transparency, circularity, and value addition resonate strongly with our ongoing reforms. Equally important is ensuring a just transition for workers, indigenous peoples, and communities dependent on mining operations. We underscore the need for regional cooperation on skills development, social protection, and economic diversifications so that mineral wealth translates into a broad-based and lasting human development. Madam Chair, the Philippines supports the establishment of an ESCAP expert working group on critical energy transition minerals, which can serve as a platform for knowledge exchange, policy alignment, and capacity building. We also encourage close collaboration with ASEAN, which has already developed guiding principles and action plans on sustainable mineral development. Looking ahead, we see a particular value in pursuing regional cooperation on sustainability in circular economy. These include advancing value-added mineral processing, promoting urban mining, and scaling up mineral recovery and recycling. To achieve this, we call for a strengthened information sharing and benchmarking, technology transfer, joint capacity building initiatives, and access to sustainable financing. Finally, we stress the importance of international cooperation on financing and technology transfer, particularly on areas such as mineral traceability systems, cleaner processing technologies, and skills training for local workers. A transparent and equitable mineral supply chain is essential not only for energy security, but also for building trust among producers, consumers, and affected communities. Madam Chair, the Philippines reaffirms its commitment to working with ESCAP and fellow member states to ensure that region's mineral wealth becomes a driver of a just, sustainable, and climate-resilient energy future. Thank you.
I thank the delegate from the Philippines. I now invite the delegate from Japan. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor. Regarding the establishment of a new working group, while we think the objectives are noble, we'd like to emphasize the importance of avoiding duplication with many existing initiatives and ensuring that the new effort delivers maximum added value. We were pointed out by a capital that many working groups on rare metals and related issues already exist within the multilateral system, including under UNCTAD, the World Resource Institute, IEA, the World Bank, ADB, APEC, et cetera, and that they are quite stretched. It's therefore essential to clarify what unique value proposition this new group intends to provide. Unfortunately, the current meeting documents do not offer sufficient information in this regard. Given the potential overlap with many other institutions, the terms of reference should be a lot more detailed, particularly in outlining the specific topics to be addressed where there is no duplication. We would appreciate if a list of such discussion items could be shared before the end of this session for incorporation into the TOR, and that if this cannot be feasibly done, this proposal may be still premature. Lastly, considering the limited resources available, as we are aware of under the UN 80 discussion modalities, it may be necessary to sunset certain existing work streams in practical terms. For example, some functions that benefit few countries may not be relevant to all member states, can go on autopilot, and could be considered for reduction to make room for this new effort, which does affect all member states. In any case, there should be some time-bound life for all working groups, and we should be considering this matter in the context of the constraints imposed upon us under the UN 80. Thank you.
I thank the delegate from Japan. I now invite the delegate from the United States. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have prepared remarks today, but as numerous delegations are commenting on the decision proposed by the Secretariat, I thought I would do so as well. The United States at this time cannot support the concept of a working group on critical minerals at ESCAP. Our capital has raised numerous concerns, several of which have been touched on by other delegations, but just to reiterate, we view that there are numerous working groups throughout the multilateral system and in many lateral organizations as well, such as ASEAN. Duplication remains a concern, and at this time, we don't see the ability for our delegation to support engagement in such a working group, given the large number of opportunities they are already taking advantage of throughout the UN and in other organizations. Secondly, we have concerns with the current climate in which we are all operating. When I refer to that, I mean UN 80, resource constraints, and that sort of thing that are abundantly being discussed at length within the UN system. I think we need a better clarity on where things are going under UN 80 before we expand the work of, add an additional working group here. I'll mention one other thing, and it's just that last week at the Advisory Committee of Permanent Representatives here, we heard that working group participation within the Energy Committee has fluctuated. I think we need a better understanding of how that fluctuation is impacting the results that these working groups are achieving, and what that impact of that fluctuation would be on this type of working group. Finally, I would just mention we cannot support the framing of the decision is tied to the energy transition. The United States no longer supports the concept of this energy transition. So if we were to put this forward, continue to put this forward, we would need to remove language on the energy transition. Thank you.
I thank the delegate from the United States. Are there any more country statements? If not, I will now open the floor for international organizations. Okay, I see none, so we will continue to the next item.
Sorry, I don't have this one. I'm from FAO. So, can I intervene?
Yes, you have the floor. Representative from
FAO.
FAO.
Thank you. I just would like to inform the gathering that we'll be having a Bioeconomy Innovations and Investment Forum happening later in November, which will be also discussing detail about the innovations in waste to energy transition, and also about how we connect the innovations and investments, and also setting up a regional platform for such kind of marketplace linkages with innovators and investors, just for information. Thank you.
Okay. I thank the delegate from, or the representative from FAO. Oh. I recognize the delegate from China. Please, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and good morning to all colleagues. So I heard a lot of the colleagues talking about the draft decision to establish a working group on critical mineral. So listen to everyone's statement and try to take a whole picture of the current negotiation status. So my impression is that this is a complicated issue. I think this is quite a concern to a lot of delegations. So taking that into consideration, maybe we still need some more time to think about this draft decision, and there will not need to be a hurry to make a decision at this meeting. And we can continue talking about that at the some technical expert level meetings and deliberate on the details which can meet everyone's concern and make it as comfortable as possible to everyone. Thank you.
I thank the delegate from China. No other. What is it?
Democratic Republic, People's Republic, DPRK.
Okay, I recognize DPRK. You have the floor.
Good morning, everybody. So sorry to interrupt you, but anyhow, as for the working group on this critical mineral for energy transition and so on, I also, the delegation of the DPRK echoes the Chinese proposal. Thank you.
I thank the delegate from DPRK. Any other statements? Okay, I see none, so we will now move to the next item on the agenda. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I would like to thank you all for the informative statements. At this juncture, I would like to invite delegations to consider the draft decision as contained in document ESCAP/CE4/5. The draft decision reads as follows. The Committee on Energy notes progress made on implementation of the Ministerial Declaration on Building a Secure, Sustainable, and Interconnected Future for Asia and the Pacific in those areas related to the United Nations Resource Management System and to minerals, materials, and technologies that are critical for energy transitions, and requests that the Secretariat establish an expert working group on critical energy transition minerals under this committee to consolidate its existing work and strengthen collaboration among members and associate member states. Would any delegation wish to intervene specifically on the proposed text? I recognize the delegate from the United Kingdom. You have the floor.
Thank you. Yeah, we recognise the pivotal role that critical minerals play in accelerating the transition to net zero, and we support some of ESCAP's work in the area. However, in the context of UN 80 and the need to ensure the UN development system is delivering, we don't want to agree to a new working group without having some sort of sunset clause or the ability to then evaluate its effectiveness. So with that in mind, we suggest adding the following lines after minerals: to be established for an initial period of 2 years and reviewed at the next Ministerial Asia-Pacific Energy Forum. We would then suggest that we consider the level and breadth of attendance, engagement, and progress the group has made to make before agreeing to continuing any further. Would you like me to repeat the line? Yeah.
Yes, please.
So after critical energy transition minerals, comma, to be established for an initial period of 2 years and reviewed at the next Ministerial Asia-Pacific Energy Forum. Thank you.
I thank the delegate from the United Kingdom. Is the proposed text as amended acceptable to all delegation? Are there any other comments from the floor? United States, you have the floor.
Thanks, Chair. No concerns with the addition, but I think the broader concept here is pretty contested within the room, if amicably. I think at this point we could not support the establishment of a working group, but I understood that the Secretariat had some stepped down text that might replace the concept of a working group with something a little less formal.
Okay, I thank the delegate from United States. I'll give it to the Secretariat to respond.
Yes, thank you for raising that. One alternative we had discussed as a proposal instead of expert working group would be the organization of expert policy dialogues, which would not require, as I understand it, a TOR. It would rather be a series of expert meetings that would then inform our work program.
Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam, and good morning, everyone. Listening to the positions of delegations before, during the deliberations on this agenda item, basically we feel that there is coming out understanding, like forming around the concept that we would not be in a position to establish any like mechanism, working body, working group, etc. as such. But we would all agree on the necessity to look into the issues related to the critical minerals and their role in energy transition. With that in mind, we believe that the best solution here would be just not to refer to any mechanism, an establishment of any mechanism at all. So one of the options to proceed the way, to close this matter and move on probably would be just to, instead of referring to a specific body after the sentence that ends that are critical for energy transitions, just to say and invites member states to give due consideration to those matters. And that would actually give the ground for the Secretariat to convene any expert dialogue, expert group meeting, like anything that does not basically require the decision of the committee for a formalized like intergovernmental body with TOR, etc. Because like the Secretariat already has the mandate to convene such meeting, so there is probably just another signal that would be only like another signal from the committee that such meeting can be convened on the expert level, obviously. So I think that would basically accommodate the concerns many delegations have on establishing a new body, and also would leave a way to move forward on this matter, which is, of course, important for energy transition. And maybe like right after this happens, I mean, with the meeting convenes, there may be like a decision and appetite from member states to move on and have something formal. But so far, no, I mean, I think my idea is to say invites member states to give due consideration to the matters related to, or just give due consideration to the matter, full stop.
Okay, I thank the delegate from the Russian Federation. Any other comments from the floor? Okay, I recognize the United States. You have the floor.
Thanks. I don't have a strong reaction to that proposal. But I would say if we're going to put forward that language, as I mentioned, we need to, for us, we need to, my capital has requested we revise, remove references to energy transitions. And so I would propose that we delete from where it says minerals, materials, and technologies, and just delete, yeah, up to technologies. Well, or just to critical. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I recognize Iran. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Given the consideration of delegations, we emphasize that at this juncture, we are not able to advise any specific time limitation. So we are not going to advise any specific time limitation. Therefore, we support the language proposed by Russia delegation. Thank you.
Okay, I thank the delegate from Iran. Any other comments? Okay, I recognize China. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And after taking into consideration of all delegations' positions and the language proposals, it's my impression that it may be difficult for at this stage to establish a working mechanism because there's strong opposition to that, and also some opposition to certain terminologies. So maybe as a way out, my suggestion is that we can just make some reference to the ministerial declaration, which is a good language. And my suggestion will read like this. Committee on Energy notes the progress made in the implementation of ministerial declaration on building a secure, sustainable, and connected energy future for Asia and Pacific in areas related to the critical minerals, and invites member states to give due consideration to how to implement the ministerial declaration in that regard. To invite members to give due considerations to how to implement the ministerial declaration in that regard. And yeah.
Okay, I thank China. I recognize Japan. You have the floor.
Thank you. I just wanted to circle back in terms of the questions that I had posed with regard to the Secretariat's understanding about duplication, where there are gaps, just to be doubly sure. And we do think it's a healthy exercise to understand whether any work within the existing work streams can be retired to make room for consideration of new emerging matters. And we haven't really had that discussion on what can possibly be retired and can go on autopilot, for example. Elements that are kind of, maybe it's relevant for a few member states, but not necessarily relevant to all. So I just wanted to circle back on that point. The other question that I wanted to ask, we're fine with the previous formulations before, but I guess the new one proposed by the delegate of China removes the UN resource management system. I just would appreciate, maybe rationale to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. I'll call on the Secretariat to respond to your questions.
Yeah, thank you very much for the questions. Regarding the two main issues that I think I heard, which is a duplication, and also you mentioned the TOR. I'll address the TOR question first, actually. The TOR text comes directly from the TR text of the existing expert working groups. We didn't feel comfortable deviating from that significantly. Certainly, we'd welcome additional inputs on that if, of course, we do decide to move ahead with the concept of creating an expert working group. Without that, the TOR piece maybe becomes less relevant. On the duplication piece, it's very well noted, and we're certainly very aware of the other forums in our region. We participate in some of them quite regularly. ASEAN, as we have a close relationship with, for example. We noted two things, though. One is that none of them are inclusive of all ESCAP member states, so they might have some, but not all. And so we felt there's an opportunity to, at least within the ESCAP context, create a forum where ESCAP member states could communicate with each other on this topic that was highlighted in the ministerial declaration as being of relevance and importance. And also, this is an opportunity to inform our work program and give us the inputs that we need to make decisions about where we should prioritize. I think part of the impetus for establishing or proposing the establishment of the working group was in reviewing the ministerial declaration text, it highlights a large number of issues for consideration, but doesn't give a lot of direction as to what we should be doing on those issues. And so either we sort of have to sort of feel that on our own, but I think ideally we would rather get member state input as to how we should prioritize among them or decide where we should be focusing on within them. So hopefully that answers those questions, but I'm also happy to, I don't know, Hong Kong, if you want to add more. But I think if you have follow-up, please feel free to ask. Yeah, this is where I feel I'm less confident in responding to that question. Do you want to respond to the question of areas to be retired? Asking for more discussion on that topic, things that we retire and topics we no longer work on. Do you want to add anything? I think mostly this is another area where we need member state guidance because we try to focus and respond to demand and mandates, and dropping or retiring things without consultation would be difficult. But at the same time, we need to hear from you where you feel like we're adding the most value and where you feel like the value isn't being added. Yeah. Maybe you want to add. Please go. Oh yeah, on RMS. Please go ahead, Harper.
Yeah, I can just add this United Nations Resources Management System. That's exactly the language from the ministerial declaration. And also there is a ECOSOC resolution to apply this UN resources management system. I think this exactly where we just get this language for this. Thank you.
Thank you to the Secretariat. Any other questions from the floor or comments? China, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor. I'll switch back to Chinese to better explain myself. 中方认为，考虑到会员国在特定的表述方面的不同意见，为了寻求一个大家都能够接受的解决方案，中方的主要的考虑是尽量的原则，留给会员国足够的讨论的空间，以便寻求各方都能接受的共识。这也是中方提出这个案修改的考虑，主要是围绕着部长级宣言的落实来展开，所以我们的重点是不一样的。谢谢。
Thank you, China. Any other comments from the floor? I see none. So going back to the proposed text as amended, is it acceptable to all the delegations? Are there any further comments?
Right now, it still has both working group and policy dialogue, so it needs to get confirmation.
Japan, go ahead.
I just like maybe that in brackets, because I just want to get back to capital on the elimination of the UN RMS, just in case. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Japan. United States, you have the floor.
I'm quite confident we can live with this, but I would just make a grammatical edit to delete the before critical minerals. Thank you.
Thank you, United States. Any other comments? Oh.
Can I, it's just really the brackets up to the RF Iran part. I'm okay with the rest, but if you can leave that in brackets, yeah. So I can, if you can leave that instead of striking it out, place in brackets while I get confirmation, thank you.
Iran, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To give a better picture to delegates, I think it's better to delete in the connection until to the end of the paragraph. So after Japan to revert, please delete in the connection until the end of the paragraph in order to have a better picture. Thank you.
Thank you, Iran. Any other comments? Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam. Just to flag that we can also support Chinese proposal.
Thank you. Okay, so the question that will be posed to the general members or members is to see if everyone agrees to the proposal by the China and the Russian Federation, the proposed text as is. And with that, we'll just delete from the United Nations, the one in brackets.
I just wanted to be sure we're okay to sweep that in, but I think it should be fine. But if I can revert, it would be safer. But I think it would be fine. But
Okay, if there's no more further comments, we will leave this proposed draft until Japan comes back to us. So we will defer this to this afternoon. We can go to the next item. So with that, if there's no more further comments, we can move to the next item. So, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I hope all the delegates had a chance to review the proposed draft text from the Russian Federation delegation that was proposed yesterday during agenda item 3A. It was circulated. I would like to open the floor to delegations to discuss the draft recommendation that was proposed by the Russian Federation yesterday. Can I have that? So with that, I'll open the floor for any comments. United States, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I had a clarifying question with regard to the Secretariat and how the adoption of such a recommendation would impact its work. Question one would be, would the adoption of this recommendation create a hierarchy within the work of ESCAP's Secretariat? And if so, does ESCAP Secretariat have the staff to address that hierarchy without incurring additional costs? Thank you.
Thank you, United States. I recognize the Russian Federation. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Many thanks actually to the delegations for the queries and due attention to the issue. And we definitely try to accommodate all those incoming signals from the delegation, and overnight we wrap the head around the issue. And honestly, we have to confess that we are not wedded actually like a nice groom and bride to the title, to avoid overstretching the discussion on that issue. We definitely would like to heed to what the Secretariat says about all these technicalities, and we would be fine if it is called a decision. Call a spade, we are more focused on the substance. So then we are fine to change the title for and to swap it from recommendation to decision. I would like to make it absolutely clear. It would be part of the question, not into your question, actually. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you to the Russian Federation. I'll have the Secretariat respond to that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the distinguished delegates from USA about these implications for Secretariat's work. And thank you for the Russian delegation's flexibility. You probably recall at the intergovernmental level, when we have the report, we have two parts of it. One is a recommendation. That's mainly to call the actions by the Commission. And the second part will be the call the attention of the Commission. So that is, I think this paragraph is mainly built on the existing ministerial declaration. That's now extra kind of work for the Secretariat. I think it's mainly called the member countries to take into, to acknowledge, actually exactly, to acknowledge the potential of these new technologies, these areas. So that, I think, if we make it as a decision, that would be much more appropriate. Thank you.
United States, you have the floor.
Thanks. I appreciate the explanation, but just for clarity then, if we make this a decision, will it prioritize this within the hierarchy of ESCAP's work? And if so, does ESCAP have the staff to address that? And maybe I misunderstood that in your answer, but just wanted to get clarity.
Thank you, the distinguished delegates from USA. I think this is with the existing program for work. I don't think that will add the additional priorities for the Secretariat. Yeah.
Japan, you have the floor.
So our impression was that we would have 24 hours to consider this because we have yet to get responses from Capital on this. So I'm a little bit startled that we're dealing with this right now because I think under the rules, it's like 24 hours before, right? So it's not 24 hours before. But in any case, my concern is that for this to be elevated to decision level, we do find the procedure to be a little bit problematic because number one, we don't have sufficient, for example, pre-session document to sort of highlight this particular issue in the hierarchy of many pathways that were kind of discussed. So that would have been kind of useful as a backdrop, as a foundation for a decision. We think, we emphasize the point that, I think for various geographies, for various countries, there are very specific national priorities, conditions, et cetera, that really validate the notion of multiple pathways towards a cleaner energy future. And so we're just kind of concerned that if it's just this listed in a decision or a recommendation, this would automatically kind of put it on the upper hierarchy, or at least it leaves the impression of such. So if we are coming up with this sort of recommendation or decision. We think that we should have a whole laundry list of many, many different things, or just keep it as like a, various pathways. I'm just pointing out where we're probably likely to seek the landing zones. Other case, we could certainly be open to having these explicit, detailed points being explicitly raised in the meeting, account of proceeds. We think that that is probably a more standard way of doing so, but to be launched as a overall committee recommendation, et cetera, I think that it would be fairer to have all the other pathways as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With your indulgence, actually, it might be helpful if I give a brief reaction to the issues raised by colleagues to try to find actually soft landing for the issue. We have to underscore again that we do not mean and we do not have a hidden agenda to upbid the issue and to prioritize that issue above all others. So that can be reflected in the text that among other issues. I'm not proposing text immediately, but I'm saying that we will be absolutely fine with that, to say that, for example, to enhance, invite members and associate members to, among other issues, to concede enhancement or to enhance, etc. That's one thing that I would like to say as a, talking it up of my head as a brief reaction. Secondly, definitely, we well understand the issues pertaining the specificity and national priorities, and it also may be easily incorporated in the text as a caveat, saying taking into account national specificities and priorities. So that can be also reflected. So with that in mind, I have to say that it could be something that like a common landing ground for this decision. And I say decision because it does not elevate per se, actually, that to the higher level. Thank you.
Thank you, Russian Federation. United States, you have the floor.
Thanks. Well, on the basis of the Secretariat's comment that there are no cost implications or prioritization implications, we'd put forward a couple of edits and see where we go. So we would recommend deleting from after where it says modern energy through to the comma, so deleting for all, thus accelerating the pace of progress towards SDG 7. And then we would look after facilitate access, we would insert voluntarily, well, comma, voluntarily and in line with national priorities. Thank you.
Thank you, United States. Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I honestly think that it might be very productive if we react immediately, but not overstretching the discussion. And I have to say that we understand the rationale behind, and we can go along with those edits proposed by the delegation of the US. It would be okay with us, just to make it clear and not to waste unnecessarily the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Russian Federation. Japan, you have the floor.
So our request was to move this edit job in the afternoon, if possible, rather than right now. And is that possible, is my question, because we do want to add something beyond nuclear power as well. which sort of better reflects the discussions that we've had during the session. And I'm pretty sure we do have edit language requested, and I do have some, but I want to have full clearance rather than half clearance. So if that's possible for delegates, if we can move this to the afternoon, that would be very appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. Iran, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The concept in general, we support the concept in general, but we are in disagreement with the recent deletion proposed by USA. Since the recent deletions reflect kind of discriminatory approach. So in this regard, we are in disagreement with the recent deletion proposed by USA. Thank you.
Thank you, Iran. Any other comments? Russian Federation, you have the floor.
First, we are very mindful about the request by the delegation of Japan to actually to schedule the discussion for the afternoon period. So we're absolutely fine with that. But since with the indulgence of the delegation of Japan and with the understanding of all other delegation, it might be useful if I could actually immediately react to what was said by our distinguished friend from the delegation of Iran to make the discussion comprehensive. Honestly, we understand actually the basic approaches and rationale behind those two approaches as expressed by the delegation of United States and the delegation of Iran. I think that it should not be a stumbling block for the text. And I honestly believe, and I am speaking in my expert capacity, I stress, that we do not need like the issue of life and death to indicate per se SDG 7, but we can capture and describe the issue per se when we talk about the what is contained in the SDG 7. And it is actually already present there in the text. Affordable, reliable, sustainable, all that is actually encapsulated per se by the SDG. So honestly, if I made myself clear enough, I hope that it will be good to actually not to have a long fight about whether we have an explicit reference to SDG 7 or we delete it. So we think that what we have in the text, it's a very good actually compromise solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Russian Federation. Japan, you have the floor.
So I have good news. I received edits, but it is quite a lot. So if I may, you may want to cut and paste, and then I can, well, should I just read it out?
Please go ahead.
Okay, so it's for the recommendation, we suggest the verb comes right after the committee. So deleting all of the acknowledging blah, blah, blah. So the committee invites. And so we'll move that element towards the back of the decision, just to allay some concerns there. So the committee, you might want to do, because it is a substantial change, you might want to copy and paste. But so the committee invites its members and associate members. So delete to facilitate access to. And instead, to study, comma, based on their own national circumstances and priorities, comma, the relevance and commercial viability of various clean energy technologies, comma, the relevance and commercial viability of various clean energy technologies. Did you write that? Comma after priorities. Of various clean technologies. Comma, including but not limited to clean energy technologies. You have two energy there. To solar, comma, wind, comma, you can do all kinds of things, gas-fired power generation, comma, hydrogen and ammonia, geothermal, carbon capture and storage, carbon dioxide removal, and then modern blah, blah, blah. Hydrogen and ammonia, solar, wind, gas, hydrogen and ammonia. You can add geothermal, carbon capture and storage, carbon dioxide removal, and modern civil nuclear technologies. So, and removal, and then after innovative designs that are relatively safe, comma. So after that, after that, I would bring the elements that used to be in the first part of the paragraph: reliable, comma, accessible, comma, affordable, comma, reliable. After safe, reliable, accessible, affordable, secure, and so instead of economically feasible, maybe viable. So economically feasible, I think viable is probably better. Viable and efficient, comma, feasible, and efficient, comma, instead of solution. I don't think solution makes sense. Efficient, comma, in accordance with their own national circumstances. And this is to basically capture the elements in the first part of the paragraph before the verb, and to also capture the wealth of the discussions that we've had during this committee. Thank you. Based on their own circumstances, I would say. Based on their own national circumstances and priorities, comma, the relevance, the comma after priorities, before relevance.
So Japan, is that fine? Okay, thank you, Japan. I will now yield the floor to the Russian Federation. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really appreciate actually the efforts by our Japanese colleagues to contribute to the discussion and receiving the feedback from Tokyo. And okay, it is becoming a lovely discussion. And I'm recalling actually once traveling with my young daughter, very long distance actually from DC to LA, and she kept asking, are we there yet? It looks to me that we are closing to say that, yes, we are there yet already. And honestly, I think that, okay, we are opening a shopping list. Normally, it is not our preferred choice to open a shopping list, but we understand the rationale behind. Plus, we also see the value in this kind of shopping list because we also had a number of issues included in the ministerial declaration of the Asia Pacific Energy Forum. So that was indeed the case. To make it absolutely clear and to conclude all my ironic remarks, but they were serious in nature. We are fine with that. Many thanks actually to the colleagues, to our colleagues for their contributions. Honestly, if we open the shopping list, we would also prefer to add hydropower as well to make it so we can find a place, any appropriate place, but for instance, after wind, we can add hydropower, etc. And from our point of view, that might be okay. Thank you.
Thank you to the Russian Federation. Any more comments? United States?
Thanks. I appreciate everyone's ingenuity. I would just say that, you know, for us, the challenge of this is I'll need to take this back, and my expectation is that we'll want to add some more to the laundry list as well, but won't be able to do that until tomorrow's session at the adoption of the report, or in the morning. I don't think there's a morning session tomorrow, actually. So would need to review this with capital, with the expectation that we would add some additional elements to this, and then would just reserve in general, because I don't know our position on each and every one of those, some of which is emerging as we speak. For instance, on wind, we are taking a much less supportive stance than we have in the past. So we'll agree to get back tomorrow in principle.
Okay, thank you, United States. I open the floor to China.
谢谢主席。中方对这段话的表述总体来讲没有意见。刚才尊敬的美国代表在第一版的修改意见里边提到了一个词儿，我认为还是很好的，我建议把这个词儿拿回来，就是在最后的一句话 "in accordance with" 的前面加上 "voluntarily and in accordance"。Before in accordance, voluntarily and.
China, is that okay? Thank you, Russian Federation. You have the floor. Okay, United Kingdom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Thank you, Chair, and my apologies for missing the start of this progress, but not necessarily progress that the UK might be in favour of. I don't yet have full instructions from Capital on this, so I will need some time to come back. But I see that there has been the removal of language on supplying affordable, reliable, modern energy for all and accelerating the progress to SDG 7. We will not be able to support that deletion. And so, therefore, if we could just maintain some sort of caveat for the UK there in opposition of that deletion. Thank you. Just also looking at the sort of laundry list of technologies, I presume, we have had this similar negotiation in paragraph 10 of the ministerial declaration. And so I think what we would be hoping to do is look at the list of technologies and compare that to the language within paragraph 10 of the declaration. Apologies, just trying to pull that up at the same time so we'll pull it up and come back to you with how that would reflect in this paragraph. But I also had a question for the Secretariat in terms of how the outcome, the document and report will refer to taking forward the ministerial declaration, because one of the questions we had was when you have this presentation of 2 decisions, a recommendation from all, followed by recommendations sporadically kind of gathered from member states, where is that encompassing commitment to the continuation of the ministerial declaration? Because then perhaps this is where we could say, the committee reaffirms its commitment to the declaration, etc., and that would help us perhaps get around some of the specificities of the language in this particular paragraph, because you're able to sort of encapsulate and cross-reference. But I'm conscious that the reporting will have some sort of kind of reaffirmation in some way, so it would be good to understand how that will come across. Thank you.
Thank you, United Kingdom. I open the floor to the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. But I think that the comments made and the discussion which ensued after those comments does not actually give ground for us to say anything else on the issue, because why we raised the flag, that wasn't quite a specific issue, like related to what our distinguished friend from the US delegation called a laundry list. Personally, I don't love this issue of doing a lot of laundries in my life, and I love better shopping list. We will be more than flexible in how to address the issue of this shopping list, and we will be more than willing to add some other issues, maybe like fossil fuels, cleaner fossil fuels, why not? But I'm kidding and teasing and saying that okay, we have to be some kind of mindful, and I appreciate UK comments about the valid ground and the common ground we have in the ministerial declaration. And yes, we can underscore the relevance of this ministerial declaration. Let's address the text. I understand that the UK delegation would need more time, and we address the issue. Now, Japan, thanks a lot, is ready now. Now we have another actually backbencher, which is understandable in terms of time zones. Okay, let's address it in the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Russian Federation. I will yield the floor to Japan.
Thank you for giving me the floor again. Just to point out that the word affordable is in there. We brought it down from the earlier text, as I had mentioned before. It's affordable, secure, blah, blah, blah. We're okay with the other elements as well, so we certainly invite text edits. And we are also, as a notion, okay to reaffirm the ministerial declaration as well. Of course, it'll make the sentence longer, but we have no qualms to that, just to leave that issue clear. On the, we agree with the delegate of China on putting voluntary, and I think that also incorporates the U.S.'s concern. Perhaps just for clarification on the meaning of the voluntary, is it more that the committee invites its members and associate members come on a voluntary basis? Is that kind of what the meaning means, or? Just wondering the placement where the voluntary should be, and maybe since that was also the U.S.'s insertion of having the word voluntary, maybe in terms of English, what was your intent on putting the voluntary part? Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. I yield the floor to Iran.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, delegates, for deliberation. Since the SDG 7 is access to clean energy for all, so and this paragraph deals with the access to new and clean energies, and the long list here we have. Again, when we say the voluntary basis, in accordance with the voluntary basis, it conveys another meaning. It's not access for all. So in this regard, we are in favor of deletion voluntary basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Iran. Any other comments? Okay, I give the Before I give it to the Secretariat, I recognize the Russian Federation. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I have to confess that I would like only to contribute again in some things indeed in my expert capacity. It's not necessarily that I'm actually reading out from my instructions, no. Honestly, I would not like to make this qualifier voluntarily as a stumbling block for the entire discussion. After all, from the bird's eye view and from my lawyer's background, it has to be clearly understood. Whatever we decide is implemented according to the national law, prerogatives, which means actually if there is no will by this or that state, it is not implemented. The legal standing of our documents stemming up from the UN ESCAP that they do not provide any mandatory legal power. So arguing about either to include or not to include the word voluntarily does not change the drink we brew in here. Thank you.
Thank you to the Russian Federation. United States, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarification, you know, the ESCAP declaration was adopted, I think, in 2023. We've obviously had a change in administration since then, and so just to reiterate, you know, while looking at that list that's in paragraph 10, which my colleague mentioned, it's a good start. I am not convinced that we won't have further additions to that overnight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to the United States. Any other comments? If none, I'll give it to the Secretariat.
Yeah, thank you very much for the distinguished delegates about your comments and the proposal. Actually, in the paragraph 10 of the ministerial declaration, actually there's a long list. I think we already had the deliberations argument during that time. I still see this is relevant to the discussion now. But if we just see the implementation of the, according to the ministerial declaration, I see that will be the, at least we just based on this to move forward. And that covers almost all this listed kind of wording here. If you want, you can just refer that. And we also have an agenda item to talk about the preparation for next ministerial declaration. That could be also new declaration. If you want to add anything new, we can start from now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Secretariat. United Kingdom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. So I just wanted to reiterate, because we've got UK reverts back, I wonder if you could please make it clear that we are opposed to removing the language on, specifically on SDG 7. So yes, we could refer to the list in the ministerial declaration. I do have a question to others in the room as to whether it would be agreeable to just remove repeating the list and to just say clean technologies, and perhaps if we are thinking about the progress we have made in on those technologies in the 2 years since October 2023, then we can perhaps, reference and developments that have been made in these technologies since the declaration, and that could be better encompassing, and therefore just exclude having a list or having to open up a list where countries have positions that have changed since that list was first set. So a question to colleagues around the room about whether we could just end at clean energy technologies and not go into a laundry list. Thank you.
Thank you, United Kingdom. Iran, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Back to the beginning of the paragraph. So the beginning, we state and we emphasize that according to national circumstances and priorities, as truly reflected by the delegate of Russia. So we are again reiterate that the deletion of voluntary at the end of the paragraph. So some colleagues may propose another term like on a voluntary and mutually agreed terms, which is totally against our position here. So any terms regarding voluntary or mutually agreed terms is, we are against this kind of term. Thank you.
Thank you, Iran. Any other comments? So, are there any other comments to the proposed text as amended? And is it acceptable to all delegations? United Kingdom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Perhaps, for those that are taking this back to Capital, could we note in there the recommendation to cross-reference to the ministerial declaration?
Secretariat.
Can you suggest the exact wording for this? And also I want to explain at the beginning when we had the discussion, this could be the decision. Because if we go back to all the structure of the report from intergovernmental meetings, recommendation will request the action from a commission. And the decision is a request attention. So based on this, it's just acknowledge about this list of the technologies. So I think it's the nature of a decision. So I think at the beginning we discussed this. That's why the decision, it changed to proposal for decision. Yeah.
You have the floor, United Kingdom.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, yes, my apologies for missing the start of the discussion. I mean, that does make sense from what we were discussing yesterday and what's the distinction between a decision, recommendation, etc. It's just a shame that we've not had the time to mull over this like we usually would have with decisions. Can I suggest that we start with the committee reaffirms its commitment to the ministerial declaration? No, you're not going to get that. Oh, my hopes and dreams are shattered.
Like 60 SDG
Okay.
Takes note. Overnight, it's not going to happen. Like we wouldn't reaffirm it anyway.
Is there a way to say?
You're on mic.
Japan, you have the floor.
I think, reaffirms the ministerial declaration is preferable versus, or notes the progress made in the implementation of the ministerial declaration.
Thank you, Japan. Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well done, thanks to Yoshika. Actually, the reason why I raised flag, I wanted to suggest something along the very same lines to make it actually, to bridge the gap between those delegations engaged privately in a very lovely discussion on the opposite side. And okay, so I had something same in mind to make it more palatable for the US delegation. Taking note, it's fine with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Russian Federation, United Kingdom.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies, this drafting by committee in person at the exact moment. You can remove the UK suggestion. I think we're fine with what Japan and Russia have suggested in terms of progress made towards the implementation. I think the suggestion then would be to mirror the language that we do have in paragraph 10 of the declaration, which includes so we've got this list of, we talk about the potential of promoting the use of clean and renewable energy resources. So we wonder whether we could have something similar rather than the relevance and commercial viability. So where we say international cooperation to study, we'd say to study and promote And then rather than specifically talking about commercial viability, we'd just say to promote, based on their own national circumstances and priorities, various clean energy technologies. And then after clean energy technologies, we'd say, including those in paragraph 10 of the ministerial declaration, and then we'd actually just suggest ending there rather than going into the rest of it. But if there was pushback, then perhaps we could just go with a much simpler ending. Thank you.
Thank you, United Kingdom. Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To be honest and to make it absolutely clear that in this case, we will not, though with all our reluctance in many cases to open shopping lists, in this specific case, we will not be happy enough, or we will be unhappy if we just end like that as proposed by UK right now. For this specific purpose, actually, for value added for the committee, we indeed actually need this shopping list as we are now circling around with various additions and edits and caveats, because it would mean actually kind of value added. And let's not forget from where we started this journey. So I would urge my distinguished colleague from UK to be mindful about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Russian Federation. Any other comments? So any other comments to the proposed amended text? I see none. Another proposal is considering there's still others with opposing views. You can use your lunch break, especially those that have other suggested texts, to come together and discuss this and bring it afternoon for consideration. That's another suggestion. Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Even we are approaching the time of the wrap-up of this morning session, we have to be honest with friends. We have to be absolutely clear that it will not be palatable for us to delete the shopping list as indicated even in the ministerial declaration. So for the purposes of this document, we definitely want to retain the shopping list. So, and we will highly appreciate the understanding of that fact from our distinguished colleagues from the UK delegation, and would urge them to wrap their head around that and maybe to think about the possibility of going along the lines of the shopping list. Thank you.
Thank you, Russian Federation. United Kingdom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. If I may respond, the head is wrapping fully. Many will be aware that, we are really trying to be as constructive as possible here and to be quite transparent about the concern. If we replicate the specific language that's in paragraph 10 and then, for example, add what may be missing in terms of small modular reactors, which, we're very supportive of, I think what we're worried about is then we start talking about potentially adding coal and fossil fuels and, getting into just lines that are absolute red lines for the UK. So yes, okay, let's try and work through a longer list, but it gets complicated.
Russian Federation, you have the floor.
That might be useful at this point of time, if we may say that when I referred in my previous remarks, quite ironically and in a way of kidding, referring to fossil fuels, I clearly underscored that that was not our intention. So please be aware about that, but I think that you will keep it in mind how can we find a common ground. So I say it very openly in a very transparent way that no, it is not our intention to add coal, fossil fuels, etc. But what is now in the text, we would like, we need it to be retained rather than swapped by the short reference to the declaration, paragraph 10. I would leave it with you to actually to digest during the lunch break, but I hope that with this clarification of mine, of my delegation, that it is not our intention to go beyond the red lines. We are, by the way, very respectful about the red lines. And I think that it might be useful for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Russian Federation. China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. After hearing all colleagues' positions, I think that at this stage I have taken some time to go back to the paragraph 10 of the ministerial declaration and found that compared this paragraph 10 and all the listed technologies in this paragraph, there's some difference. So maybe as a way forward, may I propose that we say, starting from various clean energy technologies, we have the language proposed by UK, say including those in paragraph 10 in the ministerial declaration, but not limited to solar, winds, because that is different from the paragraph 10. So we can accommodate two delegations' concerns in this paragraph. In brief, they just not delete the list, but insert the language proposed by UK, but it's still qualified from UK, so it can be, how to say, a possible way forward. Thank you.
Thank you, China. Any other comments? United States, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Just to reiterate, we will come back tomorrow, as it's now midnight in Washington, look at the list and determine whether it's something we can support or something we will need to add to. I do think that there is a chance we'll come back and say we want to add things like coal technology and those elements to this. I wondered if it was acceptable to delegations to perhaps delete the reference to clean energy technologies and just keep it as energy technologies. So welcome thoughts on that. Have a more inclusive energy mix.
Thank you, United States. China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to point out that Arctic Single quoted from United States it's a laundry list. The purpose of laundry is to make it clean. So I think that is the whole purpose. Thank you.
Okay. With that, maybe what we'll do right now, last comment, UK, before we go to the text.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies, I'll let you move on. Just please put the UK in opposition to removing clean. We'll come back with instructions on the specific list and compare the two and do our homework over lunchtime. Thank you.
Thank you, UK. So maybe what we'll do right now is to go through line item by item and see if everybody is agreeable. So we can probably eliminate some of these highlighted texts if everybody is agreeable to most, if not all. So the first sentence is, the committee notes the progress made towards the implementation of the ministerial declaration and invites its members and associate members to enhance international cooperation, to study and promote based on their own national circumstances and priorities, various energy technologies, including those in paragraph 10 in the ministerial declaration. Are we all in agreeable? Japan.
Including but not limited to, or would that address having the other?
Secretariat, do you have that? Any comments to that sentence? UK?
Thank you, Chair. I think in looking to clear the text, so the caveat of based on their own national circumstances and priorities, we'd need to leave that highlighted just to check that we can go with that caveat, which I think is based on also what happens in the rest of the paragraph. So we could clear up to then from our perspective. The various, as I say, clean energy technologies, including but not limited to, fine. And then as soon as we get to the list, the rest of that, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to say, yes, let's clear that, because we don't have we're not empowered to do so at the moment with instructions from Capital. Thank you.
Are there any other countries who are in the same similar situation as UK? Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The reason why we raise the flag, it's not because we are in the same situation of the delegation of UK and we are not competing with the situations, actually. We have all prerogatives actually here to decide, but what I wanted to say that when we decide on the text, we have to, and when we do the cleanup exercise, we have to have a clear understanding how the text looks like. We can actually accept a caveat as suggested by the UK, referring to the ministerial declaration part 10, provided the shopping list is retained. Provided, I want to make it absolutely clear, so for the understanding of the colleagues, provided the remainder of the text in its various forms, we can still work on the edits on that, but provided the remainder of the text stays. Thank you.
China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So if I have a permission, I can read out my understanding of the current negotiation status. So let's start from the own national circumstances and priorities. After that, we say various clean energy technologies, including those in paragraph 10 in the ministerial declaration, but not limited to solar, wind, hydropower, continuing the technology list, and modern civil nuclear technology such as small modular reactors, innovative designs that are safe, reliable, accessible, affordable, continue voluntarily and in accordance with their own national circumstances. End of the paragraph. Thank you.
UK, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so two things. One, our position in response to that raised by the Russian delegation has nuanced in that we've said, look, we'll reserve and come back with a form of a list. So I think you can remove UK to delete and just put, UK to revert back. That's fine, but we just haven't come to a sense of what we'd want that list to be. Where it comes to including but not limited to, we would put that phrase together. So you'd be saying, including but not limited to those in paragraph 10 in the ministerial declaration, just because those that are appearing after, we're saying that those are going to be technologies that aren't actually reflected in paragraph 10. So therefore, we'd want the phrase including but not limited to appear together. Yeah, you could say that. So we'd say, fine, clean energy technologies, including but not limited to those in paragraph 10 of the ministerial declaration, as well as, and then you can go on to a list that includes things that are potentially not captured in the list. And the list does include carbon capture and storage. It does already include hydrogen, ammonia. So there are things in that list that aren't exactly as well as, if you see what I mean, and we'll have to come back to that. Thank you.
China, you have
Thank you,
the
Madam
floor.
Chair. Maybe I can seek the assistance from the meeting officer to take out China's name out of the brackets after clean, because we are not okay with deleting clean.
Okay, thank you, China. FSM, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to clarify from our side, we're a small island country. We want to make sure that the energy technology referring to as clean technology does not include clean coal technologies. That's a clarification we like. But we are fine with energy technology referring to renewables and the shopping list that has been indicated there, but not for coal. Thank you.
Thank you, FSM. United States, you have the floor.
Thanks. You can remove the clean suggestion, deletion that we made and revert to the original text. I mean, I think, as I've said, I think clean coal will be something that my delegation comes back with tomorrow, just to clarify for FSM. But I can't guarantee it, so thank you.
Any other comments? Going back to the amended text as is everyone in agreement to this? Of course, pending those that need reverting back to their capital. If not, we would need to move forward to the next agenda item. Okay, so the proposed text will be circulated to all member states. Please look over it during lunch. And if there is anything else to be added or deleted, that will be taken up after lunch. So before we adjourn the morning session, I would like to invite the Secretariat to provide any housekeeping announcements.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Distinguished delegates, please be informed there are a number of site events will take place during this lunch break. There are 2 site events will be organized. One is promoting green and low carbon transformation in Southeast Asia through regional energy interconnections. And the second one is natural gas in Asia Pacific's energy transition, enabling affordable, clean, and secure energy pathways. I think the time and the venue is on the screen, so you're welcome to join. And there are also site events tomorrow morning, so if you want to have more details, please just visit the committee website. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Secretariat. We will resume the proceedings at 1400 with agenda item 3E. Thank you very much.